Office. Not that show, just things from the office. Hello there. Today I am going to show I guess you'd call it the museum part of the Stanley Parable. When you choose to escape instead of going into the mind control thingamabob. So here we are. It's basically showing all the parts of development and stuff, which is quite interesting. So I'll go through the whole thing. It might take a while, but there's the nature paintings. So it's just the paintings that you see while you're going on the adventure. There's your computer. There's the office layout. That's your office where you start and you have to go around. Yep, this blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. And those are where the 2 doors are. The 2 doors. The set of 2 open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it. An exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Over here it just says the office, and there's 3 doors, the first 3. Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Unfortunately there was an error with the audio, so you can't actually hear the button sounds. There's just some filing cabinets. Office computers. That one is... I just can't read that. Turn that off. That one's obviously playing solitaire. Employee database. Oh, they turn back on automatically. Anyway, credits. You can read those. I obviously don't want to read all the names. And we'll go this way first. So I think there's only a couple things to look at on this side. Boss's office. Screens from the development of the boss's office. This office clock. We'll go up the stairs in a minute. Employee lounge, which is just a couple of seats. Underground, an early version of the underground portion of the game. Narration outtakes. Kevin Brighting, the voice of the narrator, recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over 2 years of development. These are clips from the early takes that were not used in the final game. I'll mute my mic for a minute and then I'll turn it up.
Stanley pushed the orange lever. Stanley stood. Stanley stood on the roof. Stanley jumped in. Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you pick up on intuitively if you have the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. And of course, you being you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve
Where
it.
were all of his co-workers?
I'm just going to make this easy.
Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his buttons?
Anyway, you get the idea. Now we'll keep going. That was only a small part of it. There's a lot more. So I had a quick look around before. Freedom ending. This is the very first incarnation of the freedom ending in the game's alpha. And there's another one of it in beta that looks a bit different. Countdown desk. One of the desks from an early version of the countdown ending. 38. Monitor room elevator. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down, with freedom above with freedom above and countdown below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and placed two endings together instead. Freedom ending. This is the freedom ending as it is existed in beta, which obviously looks a lot different than the alpha one over there. Countdown room. An early version of the countdown room. I'm guessing that's the actual end, which I don't want to go to. I'll try and make sure I've looked at everything. Game design mock-up. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent Davey, the writer, as a kind of audition piece. The strength of this level got William hired to design the full game. Although much of the environment has changed, the basic layout of this mock-up is still in the game. Yeah. You can see how it looks, similar to the very first main room you get into. Oh. They're just little offices. Stanley's office. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created November 2011, the second March 2012, and third in February 2013. So we'll come back to that in a second. The office is just a telephone and a pencil sharpener. The lounge, an early version of the lounge, which is a bit bland. Narrator emails. After the second trailer was sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these in further promotional material, we never found the perfect use for them. Here's a selection of those emails. Those are just Greenlight. In September 2012, we submitted the Stanley Parable to Greenlight, Valve's process of approving games for Steam. The Greenlight page had only a series of cryptic photos which were still enough to win the community's approval. Warzone. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up in a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was too far jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. So I'm guessing this is parts from that. There's a couple things down here, I think. There's just that sign. Maintenance room. An early version of the maintenance room. Okay, and here is back in the main room. So if we go back up the stairs, there's one more door to go through. The apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. The cargo lift. The cargo lift was always intended to offer the choice of staying on or jumping to a different path. However, after this early version, we decided we also wanted the option of the player falling to their death. Okay. The cargo lift. The second version is functionally the same as what's in the final game, but we wanted it to look more like a place where cargo was actually stored. Meeting rooms, just a projector and clipboard. Maintenance layout. The flow of hallways following the first two doors was important to get right since players will replay them so many times. We discussed a number of designs, but ultimately it was the simplest version that won out. So it's just different layouts of mainly that maintenance area. This room's a bit interesting. It's like an extra ending that I think they just cut out. Zending model. The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents the fourth version of the ending, and we thought it was complete but decided to abandon and changed it again after shortly before launch. Zending. This screenshot depicts an early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Zending levers. These levers were originally a part of the Zending. The player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe what colour lever they had pulled. So I don't really understand what the Zending actually is, but I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Portal that a little bit. Escape menu. For a long time we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realised this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. I remember that though, and they did actually, when a second narrator pops up and says that the only thing to do is press escape and start again. They specifically said to push escape. So trailers. We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game's development, which meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. This is the first one, released in May 2012. It features a series of broken rooms and the voice of the narrator informing viewers that he is preparing a new version of the Stanley Parable. This is it. I don't think it has sound. Oh, and we've already been here. Yep, we've looked at everything. The only place left to go is the exit. I don't really want to spoil what's happening here, because this whole room is basically just stuff about the development of the game. So if you want me to do this in a separate video, I will. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and tell me what you want me to do a video of next.